Boraboye. Today I want to share a little bit about my newest class, which is African Spirituality for Awakened Personal Experience. And I'm excited about this class because in so many ways it brings into focus a lot of the essential driving forces for my work over, you know, really since the beginning, to be completely honest. I started off studying what people call Black Gnosticism and Ifa at the same time, but I gravitated more towards Ifa than the Gnostic studies. But I never let go of the mindset and the some of the core teachings of things like alchemy and sacred geometry and psychosynthesis and the transformative sciences that were or that are tied to Gnostic studies. And for many years, I have sought a thread within the vast, array of Orisa studies that would speak to that sort of a mystic, alchemical, transformative kind of a science. And what I have learned and discovered along the way is that it's so embedded into the cultural expression of the tradition that you can't very easily tease it out as an independent science or as a discipline, which is why I coined the phrase OrisaLifestyle. If you can accept the lifestyle and you can look at it comprehensively and holistically, then the byproduct of doing things in a certain way, following the calendar, participating in different kinds of rituals and ceremonies, etc., then the byproduct of the lifestyle is going to create a transformation within you, right? So in this class, however, what I'm doing is I'm taking those teachings and those discoveries and those findings and I'm distilling them into the hardest part of the work. I'm distilling them into lessons and observations about the hardest part of the work. And the hardest part of the work is, where you have to deal with your fear. The hardest part is where you've got to deal with your vulnerabilities, where you've got to reconcile great losses, right? And the trouble for us who are coming out of, I think, a Western or Christianized kind of a background is that we look at things in these dualistic ways. So that if you're taking a loss, then that means you're a failure. If you are in pain, then that means that you're a loser, right? If you have any kind of vulnerability, that makes you, by definition, inferior somehow. And that's not how OrisaLifestyle works. When you look at the divinities, you start to examine the lives of the Orisha. Today, for example, a brother called me from, he's a Yoruba man who lives in West Africa, in Liberia. And he was puzzled, he says, I'm confused. Orunmila is the one who brings Ifa, but at the same time, as I'm watching your videos, you constantly saying that it was Orunmila who consulted Ifa. Orunmila who consulted Ifa. That means he was going to see other Babalawos. So I don't understand. Why would the one who is the bringer of something be going to, refer to someone else's insight on what he's an expert in, right? And it makes sense. It makes sense. But at the same time, It also exemplifies Oromila's humility. It's his humility that makes him wise. Oromila is the Orisha who they say Oromila has no bones, right? Which means he's feeble. He can't do things, but he doesn't pretend that he can do things. He doesn't try to do things that are outside of his scope. Instead, he goes and he consults and he defers and he appeases and feeds and takes care of all of those who can do things so that they will do things that he cannot do, right? So it's him being able to accept his weakness and that propels him to a greater place. And it's the same for all of the divinities. Obatala, Ogun, Shango, Oshun. Each one of them, when you look at how they achieved divine status, how they were elevated to the level of being Orisha, it's through some kind of a weakness. It's through some kind of a deficiency, some kind of a mistake, some way in which they were compromised in direct relation to their natural gifts and talents. Which brings us back to another one of the Gnostic teachings, that the gift and the wound are born together. Your natural gifts and talents come with a weakness. It's built into it, right? It's they introduced it to us as the dragon's tail, right? It's this great powerful thing that you have, but at the same time, it's a huge liability, and you got to reconcile that in order to be whole. And so, when you experience loss, when you encounter great fear, when your vulnerabilities become overwhelming, and your only option is to embrace them, that is your great opportunity to grow and level up and upgrade your skill set and your power, right? Why? Because OrisaLifestyle is not about self-improvement. It's not about compensation. It's about self-acceptance. It's about really taking stock of who you are and what you come into the world with, and allowing all of it to work together, And you kind of, on a much simpler level, you look at your body. You have a left eye and a right eye. The one of them is stronger than the other. You have a right hand and a left hand. One of them is more dexterous than the other, right? It's part of the deal. They go together, though. It's not like you're going to get rid of one because it isn't as strong or as vibrant as the other. You need both of them to complete your being. And so you need your strengths and you need your weaknesses. And this class is about helping you to reconcile your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, we're not just reconciling our strengths and weaknesses for the sake of doing it. We're contextualizing this whole journey of awakened personal experience by the greatest concern of OrisaLifestyle, which is destiny, right? Every tradition has its own kind of primary concern. Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, whatever. They all have their own primary concern. If it's salvation or nirvana or whatever, right? For us, it's realization of one's destiny. That's what we are aspiring to more than anything else. Now, the key is understanding what destiny truly is. We talk about destiny. We say the word destiny. But if you really try to sit down and have somebody hash it out for you, it becomes very incoherent at best, and we haven't really made the effort to codify and define destiny in a way that really makes sense and that makes sense of the vast range of human experience. When you understand the different facets of destiny, the different layers of destiny, the different ways in which your destiny is going to impact you and push and pull on your experience, then everything that transpires in your life is going to make a lot more sense and you'll be able to accept it a lot easier. And so we're going to walk through 9 different dimensions of human destiny in an effort to contextualize loss, contextualize fear, to contextualize your vulnerabilities. All right. And as you do so, it's going to be much easier for you to learn from and grow and develop in the face of great difficulty, because you're going to understand the ways in which these difficulties are elevating you and transforming you and making you a better version of yourself than you could ever be without enduring these kinds of difficulties. So I hope that you will check it out. Look at the class. You can view it, the overview of the class, at orisalifestyle.com. It's also on my website, obafemio.com. And if you enroll in the class sooner than later, you'll save some money. But whenever you take the class, I think it's going to be a hitter. It's going to be something that's going to have a really powerful impact on your inside out journey. And it will free you up from the bonds of spiritual materialism that have really kind of gotten out of control and have led us to believe that the possession of material icons and the performance of exoteric rituals and ceremonies is sufficient to transform our consciousness and the quality of our being. And that just isn't, it's never going to be the case. It has never been the case. No spiritual tradition in the world is going to work based on spiritual materialism. None. And that's what has befallen, quite honestly, things like Christianity and Islam. They've fallen into the exoteric, spiritual materialist preoccupation, and then they leave the people spiritually hollow. And I don't mean this to be a criticism. I'm not looking down my nose at anybody, because your faith is your faith. And I want people who are familiar with the Yoruba tradition but are Christians, I want you to take my class. If you're a Muslim and you're familiar with the Yoruba tradition, I want you to take my class. I want you to take it. I think that OrisaLifestyle has something valuable for you, particularly as it pertains to your ability to define and understand and accept and realize your destiny. So, this is an opportunity to transcend spiritual materialism and fully internalize the idea that the soul rejoices for what the body has lost. The soul rejoices for the body is lost, for what the body has lost. I want you to think about that and what that means in terms of your spiritual walk. We spend so much time and effort and money and energy trying to avoid losing things, to recollect, to you know what I mean, to get back things that we lose in the material world, when the loss of those things and the relinquishing of those things is exactly what needs to happen for our soul to elevate. And so, I think it's important. I think it's vital. I think that we're ready for this level of teaching and understanding. And of course, the class is going to be done gently. It's going to be done logically. It's going to be done in a way that will not diminish you or beat you down and leave you, just defeated. It's meant to really give you a greater sense of self-acceptance and personal power. So I invite you to check it out at orisalifestyle.com as well as obafemio.com. And let's get enrolled and start working together to live the medicine that will heal each of our lives and heal the lives of those who we're destined to serve. Aboraboye. Aboshishe.